What's a sensation that you're unsure if other people experience? Sometimes when I'm breathing, as I often do, I get this sharp feeling in my chest that I can only describe as feeling like something gets caught in my chest. Usually a few painful deep breaths will make it go away. I've told my doctors and they say they've never heard of anything like that before. Sometimes I get a feeling in the back of my neck accompanied by a weird sound, kinda like the sound of bubbles and sparkling water. It doesn't really bother me since it lasts less than a second, but I wish I could describe what it actually sounds like. I get this. It happens frequently when I'm really hungry. Not even Google could tell me what this syndrome is called, lol. The feeling of deep sadness after waking up from an evening nap. Not any other times, only in the evenings. Sharp stinging pain in my head, like an electrical zap to a particular part of the brain. I've googled it obviously, and apparently it has to do with stress and anxiety. This thread is full of people having mysterious things finally explained to them, so I'm gonna give it a shot. My eyelashes hurt, specifically the follicles. It's the same kind of pain like when you have a loose tooth, and it actually does seem to happen when the eyelash is loose, like it's twisted around and pointing the wrong way. I have yet to meet anyone else who experiences this. My doctor's only suggestion was to start washing my eyes daily with baby shampoo, and it's reduced it substantially but not completely. It sucks. I occasionally get this in the lashes of my right eye. The only thing that alleviates the pain for me is pulling the eyelash where the pain is concentrated. This thumping feeling I get in my lady parts whenever I'm angry or I'm annoyed by something or with someone. It's not that I'm aroused. It's sort of like when people get super mad and that one vein in their neck starts pulsating. Yay, that, but in my lady parts. Sounds like the female version of a rage boner. It's more of a lack of sensation than anything else, I guess. But maybe every few months I get this feeling that everything is hollow and far away. Like anything I want to do is meaningless. Anything I hear people say sounds like an echo. And even the thoughts in my head sound emotionless and distant. It usually passes after 5 minutes, but I've stopped asking my friends whether they know that feeling because of the looks I get. When I listen to music, sometimes a song will hit me in a certain way so that my entire body seems to vibrate. The feeling is like an orgasm and is a bit weird when you're walking around campus. Sometimes I get sudden weird feelings of I absolutely cannot be here in this place. This place is wrong. It's this intense sensation thought that happens randomly. No, there's no apparent danger. Just a weird feeling sensation of absolute I can't be here. This is wrong. I can't be here. I need to not be here. I don't have intense social anxiety or fear of public places or anything like that. It's happened since I was little. Not sure what triggers it and it goes away after a few minutes. Sometimes when I'm lying down I feel as though my whole body is swinging from side to side really quickly. When I'm tired I can kind of control it, but no one ever knows what I'm talking about. Nostalgia for a place that doesn't exist in a time that never was. You know how when you walk into people's houses or certain places you get a distinct feeling from it? It's not a smell, but just kind of a vibe. Time periods and dreams too. Sometimes I get a vibe that's completely unfamiliar, yet at the same time it's almost too familiar. It's not from anywhere I've ever been or any time of my life, but it comes and goes depending on what's around me, and it's strongest during seasonal transitions. I used to feel it a lot more when I was younger, usually from either the wind howling at night or during dawn dusk, and it would be present in a lot of dreams. Sometimes when I go to places it gets more intense. I thought it was just nostalgia from childhood, but it happens in places from where I wasn't even a child. Plus, I've had these feelings for as long as I can remember, meaning I started having this nostalgia when I was around 4 at the oldest. It used to make me cry from such an intense feeling of longing. However, it's not entirely sad. It's almost pleasant in a twisted way. It's coming less often as I'm getting older, and despite it sometimes feeling sad, I'm terrified that one day it will never come back. There is a Welsh word that describes a similar-ish sort of feeling. Hiraeth, noun, Welsh, hiraeth, a deep homesickness, an intense form of longing or nostalgia for a place long gone, or even an unaccountable homesickness for a place you have never visited. By concentrating on the area just behind my forehead I can get a wave of sensation pulsating from that spot backwards through my head and to the base of my neck. The longer I concentrate, the more intense it can get. I know one other person who has described the same thing. I'd love to hear of others with this and if they have explored it much. Also, if I shine really bright light straight onto my closed eyelids, I feel a little bit of inexplicable joy and clarity. I tried this. It was freaking weird. I'm not quite sure how to describe it, but every once in a while I'll get what I think is a tiny dose of adrenaline. I think I can make it happen at will, but don't ask me how. It's usually when I'm transitioning from doing one thing to another. It's like a flash of energy but would be imperceptible to anyone else. I realize that makes no sense, but there you go. Zoomies. A high-pitched sound in my ears, but it only happens when it's completely quiet. I've heard it could be tinnitus, but it's happened for as long as I can remember, so it's happened since I was 7, if not younger, and I hadn't listened to any super loud music, like a rap concert, until 2015. Can tinnitus be just something you have without hearing something super loud? My sister and I call it tickle thumb, but it is when you're laughing too much and try to pick something up or press something with your finger and thumb but have no strength. Of course it makes us laugh harder and prolong the tickle thumb. Good luck trying to explain it to someone who doesn't know it though. I get this but as limp wrists. About once a month I get this really weird mental feeling. It's really hard to explain, but I guess it's almost as if everything has become too real, like life before was a video game I was playing or in and now that game is real, coupled with not feeling emotions like I think I should and I worry sometimes. I once saw a patient that had visual snow, which is a rare visual disorder where you see constant static snow patterns over your normal vision. She spent most of her life thinking it was normal, but it didn't get in the way of her normal day-to-day life, which is a relief. I have this, and it is typically very difficult to describe to people. Photographers kind of get it because of graininess associated with various ISO settings film. Brain zaps. They occur a few times a week. It feels like a slight electrical shock in my head and it lasts for a split second. I looked it up and apparently it can be a symptom of weaning off antidepressants, but I've never taken antidepressants. Should I be worried? The insides of my joints sometimes feel very itchy. Elbows, knees and spine for the most part. The only way to relieve the feeling of itchiness is to stretch and pop the itchy joint. Sometimes it is enough to make me go crazy. I get something like this. I tell my husband that my bones itch. I regularly feel like I'm just faking my way through life. That all my supposed job skills aren't really there and I have just been lucky that I haven't been caught out yet. I'm fairly sure this isn't true, but I can't help but feel it. Sometimes if I drink a bunch of water after not having had it in a little while, I get this weird sensation of it washing over my ribs. There's not really any other way of putting it. It's a nice feeling though. I remember seeing a documentary about two guys who got lost on a desert island and became extremely dehydrated. They got picked up by a fisherman who gave them cold water to drink. They said they could literally feel the water cooling their blood, and they feel the cool blood circulating through their veins. A feeling like I can't breathe even though I can. I see unfathomably large objects sometimes when I close my eyes to go to sleep. They're random shapes but usually a big sphere. They're so large it's overwhelming, but I've kind of learned to keep my eyes closed and let them appear instead of opening my eyes to make them disappear. I used to experience this when I was a kid. For me the objects would be things in my room but they would feel like they were enormous and really far away. I get shooting pains on both sides of my lower jaw, under my ears, when I start eating anything sweet. The only other person I know who gets it is my dad, so it must be genetic. I get this too, or if it's unexpectedly sour. Finishing a really good novel, movie, or video game and getting really lethargic for a few days. It usually happens in full-length mirrors in changing rooms, but it happens everywhere. That sudden feeling, looking at my face and body, of like whoa, I am a real human being. That's my body and face. I live here. Everything is real, like I'm meeting myself for the first time. I know it's just depersonalization, but it still feels like the strangest thing you could possibly imagine. Sometimes when I look in the mirror I feel like I'm just seeing myself for the first time, or I don't recognize myself. I physically feel pain when I hear silverware being moved around and clinking together. Like I'd literally prefer to leave the room than hear that. Nothing else makes me feel this way, but it makes me be careful when I or anyone around me unloads loads of dishwasher. I have that with styrofoam. It's killing me. So when I was super young, my older cousins would do the whole tickle torture thing. I hate being tickled and it would be super painful and distressful, but I was the youngest and smallest and easiest to torture, lol. Still to this day if I lift my arms I get like a ghost tickle sensation in my armpits. It's unbearable. I know that sounds crazy, but there you go. My brother would torment me with phantom tickles. He could make a tickling motion towards me and wherever he was directing it I'd get tickled there. Made for a lot of I'm not touching you moments. It's really hard to explain and I've tried to my entire life, but since it always comes and goes so quickly I've never been able to pin it down. Basically I'll be going about my day being like, yeah, getting crap done being a real person when I get this strange feeling of both thirst and wanting to throw in the towel and just lie down and basically regress into a child or a non-entity. The second part alone I can understand. It's the weird sensation of thirst that goes along with it. Extremely intense emotions. Like, any emotion I have fills my senses completely and overwhelmingly, even if it's something I shouldn't care that much about. As a result, getting extremely attached to people is a major problem, so I mostly end up limiting emotions for the majority of people. I trust very few people enough to share emotions with them. Mumble childhood mumble probably need therapy. This happens every so often with myself, but I feel like I'm just reliving my life through memories. It's like I'm telling someone the story of my life and I'm recounting all of it. It's a weird but interesting sensation. This entire feed has made me feel so much more like a normal human. Thank you, Reddit. I enjoy poking any bruises I have. It feels nice in a really vague way. I'm not exactly sure how to describe it, but anyone I've ever asked has said that it's weird as heck. If I've been sitting around for a few days, I sometimes get an uncomfortable feeling in my muscles, leg muscles especially. There's a burning restlessness that drives me to get up off my butt and at least move around some. It doesn't matter how lazy I might prefer to be, my body says I've got to get up and move. I've never heard anyone else talk about this sensation, and I'd like to know what it's called. Oftentimes, if I've been lying down for a prolonged period of time, when I stand up really quickly I'll feel a head rush and then go totally blind for around 5 seconds. I've had people relate with the head rush, but I have yet to find someone who has experienced the sudden blindness too. You're getting slightly closer to actually passing out than they are. Sometimes when I'm lying down, I can feel my bones. I don't know how to explain it better than that. It feels as if I have no skin or muscle tissue and my arms and legs are just bones. It's always accompanied by a metallic taste in the back of my mouth. Countries and areas give me a different feeling, so a memory or present time in one place has a very distinct physical feeling than the same thing somewhere else. Like a car ride in Arizona feels physically different than a car ride in Panama, and I can feel a difference with my eyes closed as long as I've been there before. It doesn't happen so much to me in adulthood, but I swear that when I was a kid, homesickness was a distinct, visceral, nearly physical emotion. For instance, say I was 6 and staying at my cousin's house for the weekend without my mom. There would be quiet moments, maybe near bedtime, where it wasn't just I miss my mom, I wonder what she's doing. Rather it would be a potent, melancholic ache where I was acutely aware that I was not at home and my mom wasn't there, and it would overcome me out of nowhere. I had no more control over it than if I suddenly felt chilly. I thought everyone experienced this. Homesickness as its own separate and extreme emotion, but I remember mentioning it to a friend in middle school and she had no idea what I was talking about. What's really weird is that from time to time I'll get the homesick pain feeling again in situations where it makes no sense. I will already be at home, my family will be there, etc. Then I drink water and that fixes it. Go figure. Whenever I'm in a room where it's mostly dark, but there is some light, and I focus on whatever ground, wall, nothing, my eyes start to darken the entire room until I basically have the view of my eyes closed, but my eyes are open. If I stare off into space the sky will turn from blue to bright pink. I've tried googling it and can't find an answer. Random full body shivers twitches. Usually caused by stress or being uncomfortable in a situation. Weird head orgasms when people brush my hair, like chills down my spine but in an amazing way. Sometimes I hear my name, when actually nothing has been said. Also sometimes my skin feels like there are drops of water falling onto it. When I'm asleep in bed, I sometimes feel like I'm sliding down the middle, as if some creature beneath is pulling my leg. That's terrifying. Some advertisements make me deeply sad, especially for irrelevant products like soaps or razors. It's all the meaningless promotions on the packaging to make the products seem more appealing. Maybe it's all the work I know is put into something that 99.9% of people are never going to read. I don't know. It's happened to me for as long as I can remember. I have this but for rip-off versions of name brand products, like a backpack with a poorly done knockoff drawing of Pikachu on it, or a poorly made action figure trying to copy Superman or something. I've seen posts of these sort of things mostly made in China, and for some reason I find it depressing. You have been visited by the beach doggo. You shall be blessed with good weather all summer if you subscribe to Updoot Reddit. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.